Governor Mike Parson's plan to send hundreds of Missouri National Guardsmen and nearly 24 highway patrol troopers to the southern U.S. border got initial approval from lawmakers. Parson announced in February he's sending up to 200 members of the Missouri National Guard and 22 volunteers from the Highway Patrol. Total cost is expected to be roughly $2.2 million. That funding was passed by the Missouri House this morning with broad bipartisan support.
It's not for the state of Missouri to determine immigration policy. What we can do is send additional troops to go ahead and reinforce what the Biden administration has been trying to do down on our border. And I urge my colleagues, especially on this side of the aisle, to please vote yes in support of our troops. Thank you.